Hello, friends. Welcome back to Sincerely Self Podcast. Welcome if you're new. My name is Lexi, and this is Sincerely Self. I already said that. I know I haven't done a solo episode yet this year. I've already been lacking. If you guys remember last year, I definitely had a few solo episodes that I did not deliver. And I did have the New Year's resolution of being better with the episodes. And here we are. It is Friday night. And I'm going to have this uploaded by Saturday, 5 a.m. But I got new equipment. And I'm using part of it. I'm using my new ring light. But I got new mics, a new soundboard, and a new camera to use while I'm recording. And I am still learning. And I accidentally had the microphone turned up way too loud on the soundboard, so it just sounds like I'm screaming the whole time. So I've already recorded this episode earlier this week, actually, promise. It was like Tuesday, but it was way too loud. And I was going to try and salvage it, and then I was like, this is going to take so much editing. I just rather re-record, so I'm re-recording. But we do have a lot to catch up on. First thing, I was on Radcast Network. They are no longer a thing. So now I'm just kind of going back to doing the podcast how I originally had. Honestly, I was doing like 99% of everything independently already with the podcast once I had signed on to the network, but now I'm back to just doing everything independently. But I actually don't feel scared about it. I have a really good feeling about it. So that makes me feel excited, but that is also a really big change. I'm also trying to work better on my time management, specifically with work. And I'm going to do an episode on this, probably the next solo episode. I'm going to touch on this a lot because the next solo episode will be my birthday episode. So that'll be exciting. But I've just been working on my time management, specifically with the podcast. So let's hope for improvement in the coming days. I'm also going to do a more in-depth video on this, either on the social medias or on the YouTube, maybe even an episode on it. But I just wanted to talk to you guys about the importance of having compassion right now. This is actually a topic I have done an episode on for a different circumstance, but right now there's a lot of ice raids going on, and I think a lot of people have, not a lot honestly, but there are still people who have these opinions on what is going on and viewing it as okay. And if you are someone who is feeling that way, I really encourage you to do more research. And if you still are feeling that way, I really encourage you to self-evaluate, because all the things that are happening right now are not okay. And if you are feeling just like sick to your stomach over it and not sure what you can do, going to the protests, using your First Amendment, and also helping others when you see things happening, asking for their name, asking for their family's name, asking for a good phone number you can call. Anything you can do to help get word back to their people of what's happened to them is unfortunately really the best thing to do in that situation. It's a little bit difficult with just the way things are playing out, but I just encourage you guys to be Christ-like, and by that I mean standing by your neighbors, standing by the people who are not like you or are like you, and just standing by other human beings and just being able to support them. So, like I said, I'm going to do a further episode on that, but I just wanted to talk about that really quick because it is very, very important, and it's not political. This is human rights. This is human decency, bare minimum human decency. So, yes. This episode is a topic that I really do not touch on much. I've only done maybe 2 or 3 episodes on relationships and love and that kind of thing. I don't really know why, but I've been watching a lot of story times on TikTok while I'm like doing my skincare or cooking or something, and so many of you guys are on girls going through bad relationships or bad breakups and things like that. Like, there are so many story times on that. Like, I can just see how common this is. And so I just really feel like now I'm a fiance. I've been in a healthy relationship for 2 years. And so I just feel like I've learned a lot. And from personal experience and things I've witnessed and researched myself, I just want to give some good advice on being able to identify a healthy love, recognizing when you're not where you're supposed to be, and exiting that chapter so that you can enter a new one, and how to attract, I guess, a healthy relationship into your life. So, first thing that we're going to cover on this topic is overstaying your stay. And by that I mean overstaying in a relationship that you are not welcomed anymore, that you're not treated the way you should be treated anymore. I see a lot of girls, a lot of people staying in relationships where they've been cheated on or constantly disrespected. Like, it's very clear that your partner doesn't respect you or doesn't love you, honestly. And that's like kind of a hot take, but if someone is cheating on you all the time or just not treating you in a kind way, they are not someone that you should be in a relationship with, and they're not treating you like they love you. I think sometimes people become codependent on a relationship, and so these people that maybe honestly should just break up with their partner, instead they just cheat on them and treat them horribly, but they don't want to leave in the same sense. Like, codependency is so prevalent in toxic relationships. And sometimes, as a girl who's done it myself, sometimes you overstay your stay. And sometimes you just got to recognize when it's time to leave. I know there are people who have stayed with partners that have cheated on them, and their partner's been able to change and they stay together and have a healthy relationship. That is like 10% of relationships that actually works and that actually happens, you guys. So it's easy to think, well, we can both work on this. Like, he's telling me he's going to change. Actions speak so much louder than words. If he is not changing his actions and he's still doing things that are not loyal to you, girl, he is not going to change, and you need to leave that relationship because you are wasting your own time. And that leads me into the next topic of just the things that you allow to happen to you. And by that I mean the things that you will let be okay. If someone cheats on you and disrespects you and you stay with them, you are letting them know that they can do more to you, and you are letting them know that someone can do that to you, and you're going to let that happen. Self-esteem gets demolished in a toxic relationship, and it makes it so you want to stay more because you don't view yourself as worthy of someone treating you better. You don't feel like you could find anything better. And I just want to remind you that you are doing yourself a severe disservice staying in a relationship where you are not being treated right. And even if you don't believe it yet that you deserve better, if you're unhappy, you're wasting your own time. You're wasting your own future on this person. And so when you let things like that happen, and when I say let, I mean if you stay in the relationship, you're, letting that behavior be okay. Staying in that relationship makes them believe that, oh, she's okay with that. Oh, she's okay with that. There's a book called Why Men Love Bitches. Oh, amazing book, really. And it just talks about self-respect, truly, on being, like, you don't want to be a doormat. You don't want to let people walk all over you. And I think that's the best mindset to have in a relationship. Not even being a bitch, but just being self-secure and being like, no, I'm not okay with a partner cheating on me. If you want to go date around, then you can go date around. I'm waiting for someone who's all about me. That's really the mindset you got to have in a relationship. And like I said, there are like the 10% of relationships where the partner really does change, and that's amazing. But coming from experience, ladies, if you stay, you're doing yourself a complete disservice, and that person is not going to respect you more. They're actually going to respect you less. And 9 times out of 10, the behavior is going to repeat. They are going to cheat again. because now at that point they think you're okay with it. Let's talk about identifying some red flags in a relationship. How to tell if your relationship might be more toxic than it is healthy. These tips are not necessarily, not all of them are to tell you that you need to leave your relationship. Some of these might just be like, okay, we need to have a self-reflection moment, because even healthy relationships, I feel like can go through rough patches, should go through rough patches, and can even go through a toxic cycle. A lot of the time when you're in a healthy relationship, the toxic parts of each other will kind of be brought to the surface, like the traumas that you haven't dealt with yet get brought to the surface in both of you. And it's for you to be able to address them and heal them with this person, but it can feel like at first that you guys are in a rut, you're fighting all the time, whatever. When it's not okay, and when it's a red flag, is if someone is physically assaulting you. That's not okay, and that's not love. If someone's physically like hurting you in a relationship, if someone's like punching walls in front of you, anything aggressive like that is not okay as well. When someone is lying to you a lot, I think honesty is so important in any relationship, but especially a romantic one. If someone is lying to you about like the craziest, most random things, then they are most likely lying to you about more. And so it's likely leading to a more in-depth problem. Okay? Or if your partner's not willing to have uncomfortable conversations, maybe after an argument goes south, if your partner's not willing to, once the dust has settled, have a further conversation about it, and, really both of you being able to, apologize and agree that your end goal is each other. I think that's such a big thing. Is in toxic relationships, it's kind of like you against them instead of like you guys versus a problem. And sometimes in arguments, even in a healthy relationship, you get stuck in the mindset during the fight of like you guys versus each other instead of you guys versus the problem. And so I think arguments are normal, but arguments that leave you questioning your self-esteem, questioning your relationship, questioning your value in the world is something that needs to be evaluated, whether that be with therapy, if the person is willing, and if they're not willing to do anything to fix their relationship or bring it to be on the mend, then it might be a relationship that needs to be ended. But if they're willing to, let's try therapy, or let's have these hard conversations, then, give it a go. Sometimes things go through a rough patch, but if they're not willing to work on it with you, and they might even play the blame game and just blame you for everything, then that's not okay. Another thing that just came to my mind with kind of a red flag, I guess, is if you catch someone doing something, like your partner doing something that they're not supposed to do, texting a girl, watching porn, whatever it is, and they just like gaslight you that it's okay. If you have boundaries of things that you're not okay with, and you tell them and they're gaslighting you that it's not that bad, or, oh, this is your fault that I did this because X, Y, and Z, that's not a relationship you want to be in. If your partner can't respect your boundaries, we all have different things that we're okay with, and you want to be with someone that can be aligned with that. This is like a little bit sidetracked, but actually I'll bring this up later in the episode, but that I feel like is such a relationship make or break when you guys don't have boundaries that are aligned. I think if you are not okay with your partner doing something, then you should also be okay with them not being okay with you doing it, and things like that. So if you have an issue with your partner watching porn, but they don't have an issue with anything like that, it might not be the right relationship, if it's really a big thing. So that's going to bring me into how can you find a healthy relationship? Okay, now you've left this man who obviously needs to work on himself. I cannot recommend enough that you completely go no contact and you do not try and stay friends. Do not try and stay friends. It brings up the most toxic cycle of adding, unadding, texting, blocking, and all these things back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It does nothing good. Once the relationship is over, point blank period. you need to go no contact, especially if they have done something wrong. Like if they've cheated on you, if they've lied to you, if they've hurt you. You do not want to be this person's friend. You just love them and you think that that's the best thing for you to do. And it is actually the worst thing for you to do. And if they text you randomly out of the blue, do not text back. I'm not saying you know, sometimes people take time apart and they're able to heal and get back together, but girl, a month is not long enough. A few months is not long enough. You need to give each other time and space. And maybe you'll get back together. And honestly, at that point in time, if you're no contact that long enough, you might even realize that you don't even want them. So, and that you're better off without them. So do not go to the back and forth of, oh, I'm hanging out with my ex, or I'm talking with my ex. I know people make jokes and stuff about that, but really, you're doing yourself such a disservice. And it also, once again, I'm sorry, it does represent how you feel about yourself as someone who has done it. Like all these things that I'm telling you guys, like I have also experienced these before I met my beautiful, amazing fiance. And so I realize how easy it is, and I'm not trying to guilt you if you do go back to your partner after they've cheated or done something, because I know how hard it is not to, and I do understand that when you do those kind of things, your friends and family and like your circle do get mad at you and like clown you and be like, why would you go back to him, and da da da. I get it. I understand why you might go back, and don't be hard on yourself if you go back a couple times. The most important thing to remember is when you realize that it's time to leave, that you go and that you leave. Sometimes it really does take someone who's in love to be hurt so much that there's literally no point of return. And then they're willing to let go. And if you're one of those type of people, like, don't beat yourself up for maybe overstaying your stay a little bit. But I'm telling you, if you're able to recognize it, girl, leave. Leave and do not look back. As hard as it may be, reminding yourself that you do not deserve what this person did to you, and you going back to them, or even like sleeping with them and hanging out with them and giving them all the benefits of being in a relationship with you and not dating you anymore, literally being your ex because of something that they did to you, it shows absolutely no self-respect. You do not want to have your self-worth being diminished like that. And it does. Going back to somebody who is making it known they don't want you for more than just like how it benefits them, it is going to demolish your self-esteem. And a lot of the time we do it because that has already happened, but you are worth so much more. And if you can't see it in that moment, think of your younger self. They did not deserve that. You know, what happened to you. They do not deserve what you continue to put yourself through either. And so if it's really hard for you to think of yourself in the moment, think of your younger self. And like for me, that was something that helped. So I was like, she would not deserve this. And so I need to stand up and I need to stop letting these kind of things happen. So now let's talk about finding a healthy relationship and how to get into a healthy relationship. Obviously, these rules are not foolproof. You know, sometimes we can do all the right things and still end up with the wrong person. But these steps will help you be more aligned with the type of energy you want to bring in, because you attract kind of what you're putting out. And if you're putting out insecurity and uncertainty and not believing that you're good enough, you will attract a relationship that shows you that puts that back out for you. And as hard as that is to hear, you got to show up as what you want. So first thing is the relationship with yourself and fixing the relationship that you have with yourself, which is hard, very, very hard. I would recommend starting with doing some shadow work. If you're not sure where to start with that, literally just look up shadow work prompts for self-love on Pinterest. Literally, and you will find so many. Buying a journal immediately, a breakup purchase, absolutely, and get started on that shadow work. It really just brings up the traumas that might be in your subconscious mind and you're not really aware of. And so for me, shadow work was huge because it made me realize that my self-esteem really was like the root cause of why I was letting myself get treated this way by people. And it makes you grow a deeper relationship with yourself, because it's really hard to love someone to your full capacity when you don't even love yourself that way. And letting someone love you that way when you don't even love yourself that way. You might be holding back blessings for yourself because you don't see yourself as worthy. And so seeing yourself as worthy and seeing yourself as the prize is the number one step in being able to get in a healthy relationship. You need to know unconditional love for yourself before you can let someone else do that for you, or before you can do that for someone else. Next thing, nourish the other relationships in your life during this time that you are single. Learn what love looks like in different forms. And so when you do get in another relationship, that is even more of like a boundary setter for you, because being loved by your people shows you what real love is and what, unconditional love is, and obviously in a different form. So surrounding yourself with the people who you love and who love you for who you are will also help build up your self-esteem. And if you need to go to your friends or your closest person and be like, hey, I have no self-esteem, can you tell me some of the things you like about me? Someone who knows you in and out, I guarantee you they can list you multiple things, inside and outside qualities of you that are beautiful and amazing. And sometimes hearing that from someone, it really does help, especially someone you love. So that's also something that I would recommend. Second to last thing, setting high standards and boundaries, literally making a list in this journal that I told you guys you got to get. You got to make a list of the things that you're okay with in a relationship, the things you're okay with in a partner, boundaries that you have in a relationship, boundaries that you have in your life, that you want for your kids, that you want for a future marriage, if that's what you want is a marriage. Having this outline lets you know, it literally gives you an outline for what you want in a partner. So when you're looking, keep these things fresh on the forefront of your mind so that you're able to weed out the partners that are not aligned with you. And you may feel like, oh, I can't be picky, my standards are too high. Your standards are not too high. You might just be looking in the wrong places. Okay? This brings me to my next point. Look for partners where you would want them to be. If you want a partner that's a hard worker, maybe go to a gym and try and find a partner. Not saying you're going to find amazing gems at the gym, but look at places where you would want your future partner to be at. Maybe look at a library if you want someone who is intellectual or a reader. Maybe go to a cafe early in the morning if you want someone who is a morning person or maybe works. If you want someone who's a homebody, you're most likely not going to find that at a bar, okay? If you want somebody who is dedicated and working towards goals, you might not find them at a random nightclub at 6 a.m. You know what I mean? So sometimes we look for things in the wrong places. I really truly believe that once you have your standards set high and you're like, okay, I want a partner who's doing these things kind of on the same routine as me, you will find someone on that same routine as you. The last thing I want to say is it's very, very important when you do get into a relationship with somebody new to immediately have a conversation on the boundaries of the things that you're okay with and not okay with. I was going to talk about this earlier and then I was like, wait, I'll wait till the end of the episode. But me and my fiance actually had this type of conversation right before he asked me to be his girlfriend for probably an hour, maybe even probably longer, probably 2 hours. We sat and talked about things that we wanted in a relationship, things that we were okay with, things that we weren't okay with, the deal breakers for us. Literally anything and everything we wanted in a relationship and partner, we both put out on the table and talked about and discussed. And even for a future, we discussed those type of things too. And I feel like it really set the tone for our relationship, because immediately going into it, neither of us expected that we would start dating when we did, at all, but the tone for our relationship was set and we knew exactly the expectations the other person had for each other. And I feel like it helped us stay aligned, and we knew from the jump that we wanted the same things. And so I think if maybe you have that conversation with someone, you find out, oh, they don't want kids and I want kids. If you're not dating for a relationship to go to spending your life with someone, that's also a conversation you want to have, because some people really are dating to find their forever person. And so if you're just dating to date and have fun, you want to be with someone who is on that same wavelength. And so like those type of conversations are very, very important to have, and a lot of time they get lost and people don't have them, and people get hurt. So that's a really, really high one I recommend, because that will help you know if you're getting in a relationship with someone who is aligned with you. And when I say aligned with you, I mean on like working on their goals, moving through life, dedicated to the things that they love just as much as you are. That will be a deal breaker. If you're going on a date or starting to date someone who doesn't even know what they want to do in their life, then you might, be like, okay, well, if I'm wanting a forever person who like I want to be able to plan a future with, maybe this isn't my person. So I'm going to end the episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's fun to talk about love and relationships. I really never talk about it actually. And I feel like it is the number one thing that I give advice on with my friends. So let me know if you want more episodes on love. I do have an episode called Heartbreak Boot Camp. It's from, honestly, the very beginning of the episode. We're at like 100, maybe over now. Over 100 maybe. But if you guys want to learn a little bit more about how to get over a heartbreak, I have literally a Heartbreak Boot Camp episode that you guys can go and check out. If you are listening to this episode, please give it 5 stars wherever you're listening to it, so I know which platforms are the favorites. You also can watch this on YouTube if you're not already. I am switching to the Spotify hosting platform again, so I think I will be able to possibly upload the videos on there now too as well. So if you're on Spotify, you may or may not be able to see the video, some clips from the video at least. So go and check that out. I had Christy Hunter on the podcast last week, so make sure you go and check out last week's episode if you haven't. She was amazing. We've got a really exciting guest coming up next week as well, so I'm excited for you guys to see that one. It may or may not be someone that we have seen before, so get excited for that. The first episode of February. If you do not know, my birthday is the first week of February, and the last 2 years have done what I've learned in so-and-so years. So this last year it was 23 things I've learned in 23 years, and this year will be 24 things I've learned in 24 years. I'm debating on uploading it actually on my birthday or waiting till Saturday, so let me know if you're on YouTube, or you can also comment on the podcast, whichever platform you're listening to it. Let me know. Should I just upload it on a Wednesday? Maybe I should just upload it on a Wednesday a little bit early. Could be fun. So I love you guys, and I will see you